This is Chapter 4, Question 3. If I were consulting with a hiring manager who just got a new high performer on their team and wants to make sure they retain them for a long time, I would start by emphasizing that keeping top talent requires way more than just a competitive salary. If this individual you hired is really at the top of their field and in your firm, that means they're likely going to come across other competitive offers and job opportunities in the future. So to keep your competitive edge, we need to take a look at a few tools to implement to ensure employee well-being and strong organizational outcomes. So first, research in IO psychology shows us that employees are more likely to stay with organizations when they feel supported, both professionally and personally. One of the most important factors influencing retention is work-family conflict, reducing it specifically, which this employee says in the case that is one of their goals or needs. So we know that 70% of all workers experience some sort of work-family conflict during their career. Proactively finding ways to reduce that will improve the individual's work-life balance. One of my recommendations would be to provide flexibility whenever possible, if this role permits. We know that flexibility for scheduling, hybrid work arrangements, having reasonable autonomy over when and where work is completed greatly helps employees better manage competing demands from work and family. So if your new employee feels they have control over their own schedule, they often experience less stress and greater job satisfaction. Although something to keep an eye on here, I guess in this situation, is innovation and collaboration, because some studies suggest that remote work can be disconnecting for certain individuals, which will lower their desire to collaborate and innovate with others outside of their job tasks. So just something to monitor through the remote and hybrid opportunities. Another main factor in reducing work-family conflict is supervisor support, which might be one of the most strategic benefits, because managers play such a large role in shaping their employees' experience at work. So ensuring the supervisor is properly trained and has the skills to manage an employee of this caliber. Actions like recognizing the complicated nature of balancing work and home, advocating for them internally, respecting boundaries outside of work hours, and actively checking in on their well-being will make a big difference, and them feeling supported by the organization. And then something else I'd want to touch on is putting in a process for monitoring workload and expectations carefully, because high performers often receive and are open to additional responsibilities because they're very dependable and productive in nature. But making sure you set clear expectations with them on their in-role versus extra-role behaviors. You want to ensure the individual doesn't get burned out or overloaded. I think a good performance review process with timely check-ins can help a manager stay on top of their employees' workload and make sure the expectations are realistic, because we don't want that individual to not have the resources needed to stay most effective in the job they actually have. And one important study that supports these recommendations comes from a meta-analysis which found that work-family conflict was associated with lower job satisfaction, higher stress, poor physical and mental health, and increased turnover in tensions, all which will greatly impact a high performer. So if the client is serious and intentional about keeping this new person long-term, they need to take reducing work-family conflict seriously as a strategic retention effort rather than just a benefit they're simply giving them because they are a high performer. So in conclusion, my advice to this manager would be: 1, make sure you know the employee's individual needs. 2, provide flexibility as much as possible. 3, offer strong supervisor support. And 4, actively monitor their workload and make sure they're maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Hopefully this way they stay high-performing and excited about working for you for a long time.